Dover Castle is known as the Key to England because of its defensive significance and key location. It is the largest castle in England and overlooks the White Cliffs of Dover. After visiting and exploring this amazing wonder, I was impressed by how fortified the castle and its walls actually were. Dover Castle is a medieval castle. Medieval castles were built during the Middle Ages, which went from the 5th to the end of the 15th century. The Renaissance marked the end of the medieval period. These medieval castles were built by lords and kings, not only as a means of protection, but as a symbol of status and wealth. While Dover Castle originated as a motte and bailey castle, it was transformed into a medieval concentric stronghold by King Henry II. A motte and bailey castle is a more primitive style of a medieval castle. They are usually made from wood with a bailey, which means an outer wall, and a keep that lays upon a hill. The motte is the hill that keep lies upon. Dover Castle has an inner bailey and an outer bailey. While Dover Castle does not have a moat like a typical concentric medieval castle, the motte which Dover Castle lies upon provides a far better means of protection than the typical moat. Inside the inner bailey there is a keep meant for the king. Henry II became king in 1154 and ruled over all of England as well as parts of Wales and Ireland. While Henry commissioned the castle, the real man behind the construction of this unconquered fortress was Murrus the engineer. The king spent over £6,500 on the castle. To put this in perspective of how expensive the castle was, King Henry II's annual revenue was likely around £1,000. Murrus built the inner bailey and towers as well as the outer bailey, great tower, and many other parts of the castle. Henry II's keep is at the heart of the castle with an inner wall surrounding it and the King's Gate leading outside. The outer wall surrounds the whole castle, which housed a Roman lighthouse, Saxon church, and officer barracks. Dover Castle's location is extremely important because it commands the Strait of Dover, which is the fastest way to get between England and the rest of Europe. The location of the Dover Castle was occupied before Henry II came along. During the Roman era, a Roman lighthouse was built. The lighthouse in the Dover Castle dates back to the 2nd century and is the most complete Roman structure in Europe. During the Saxon and early Norman era, William the Conqueror came to Dover after the Battle of Hastings. In 1066, he established a fortification around the church. Under the rule of Henry III, after Henry II, the castle was put under sieges in 1216 during the First Barons' War. After the castle resisted these sieges, Henry III continued to develop the castle through the 13th century. At that time, Dover Castle was one of the largest and most advanced castles in Europe. In 1265, the castle defended against another siege while Eleanor de Montfort resided in the castle. Dover Castle was occupied in many more wars such as the Napoleonic War, World War I, II, and the Cold War. I find it incredible how many wars and conflicts this castle has made it through and still stands today. This has been my favorite castle I have visited thus far in Europe because of the sheer grandeur of it. After going through the castle and looking at the outer walls, I understood why it was impenetrable. I also flew my drone over the castle to take some cool aerial videos, which I included in this video. Talking to some of the locals in the town of Dover, I learned about 4+ miles of tunnels that went through the cliffs of Dover leading to the castle. This was because during World War II, the castle had become the headquarters for the British Army garrison and a Royal Navy base. This was because while Germany was occupying France, Dover was the closest point in England to France. Winston Churchill even went through these tunnels. My friends and I walked all around visiting many of these tunnels' entrances, which were mostly all covered up. This castle did not feel as touristy as other locations, which I enjoyed. This also gave us the freedom to explore all around the castle and throughout the small town of Dover.